Well, in the context of Children's Day, with focus on key initiatives to advance the rights and welfare of children, women too, well, and of course the vulnerable groups across Nigeria. We're now joined by Imaan Sulaiman-Ibrahim, Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development.
Thank you
so much. This is why you have this.
Yes, for coming on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, a good place to start would be to ask you, what is the state of the Nigerian child? And when you look at the theme for today, stand up, speak up, building a bullying-free generation. So this is apparently very important. Bullying has become a serious thing. What practical steps are you taking to ensure that Nigerian children are safe, either at home or in digital spaces like the president said today in his speech?
I think it's such an exciting time to be a Nigerian child. Because
exciting.
It is, yeah, because issues around the well-being and welfare of a child has never been at the center of our national development. So we must commend His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for prioritizing the renewed agenda for children. Since I assumed this role, you know, the main goal was to change the strategic direction of this ministry. The focus has always been on our women's mandate and not the children's mandate. And that is due to the lack of the budget lines to be able to implement for the children. But on arrival, things have changed drastically. You've been able to, set up the committee to review the National Child Policy of 2008. Usually, after a period of 5 years, these legal instruments should undergo review to be able to, address imagine and reimagine issues. And also, we're also reviewing the Child Right Act of 2003, which is also long overdue. And I must commend the state governors and their state assemblies, because as I speak to you today, 36 states and FCT have domesticated the Child Right Act, and now it's undergoing review. And it's not just about domesticating, it's about also implementing and ensuring that you allocate the right kind of resources. So I must commend the state governors and the CSO, the partners, because we're taking a holistic approach to ensuring we safeguard our children, ensuring their development and their protection. So we must commend, all stakeholders for putting all hands on deck, state governments for ensuring that our policies translate to concrete action.
And that seems to be where the challenge is. Let me quote Nelson Mandela, where he said, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way it treats its children." In Nigeria today, 18-point-something million out-of-school children, the highest in the world, arguably. And then you have a situation where 6 out of 10 children experience physical or sexual violence before reaching adulthood. As a matter of fact, some would say that the Nigerian child is an endangered species, but you say that there's no better time to be a Nigerian child today. What's being done to address these specifics, the out-of-school children and, of course, sexual violence and all of that the Nigerian child faces today?
As you may be aware, we're facing a protracted scenario of displacement. It's unprecedented. Nigeria used to be a very peaceful country. Suddenly, we've had almost 1 decade of, displacement and IDP scenario. So with other compounding issues like the health pandemic that also, disturbed the globe. So in recovery, you can see that a lot of efforts have been put in place by this present administration. There's no social sector, as I speak to you now, that is not, making an effort towards ensuring that kids don't only go to school, but they stay in school. The education ministry is doing a lot from our own social sector, which is our own ecosystem, Women Affairs, who have the lead mandate for children. We're doing so much because sometimes it takes more than, looking after the child for him to be in school, because the parents take the kids to school. I remembered when I was pregnant with my last baby, 2 of my kids missed school for 2 weeks. I had to figure out how to get them to school because I was sick. I couldn't take them to school. So what we want is to stabilize the family unit, to ensure that the parents are also, their well-being and their welfare is also put into consideration. And then we also economically empower these women, because if you're not if you're not okay economically, how do you think about education for your kids. People sometimes think that it's a social norm, and they say, oh, sometimes it's religious. But if you look at even our religious leaders that are in the village, their kids go to school. So it's not a social, it's an economic problem. So we're also trying to strengthen the family unit. We're coming strongly with strong family cohesion programs so that the family unit is stable enough to think about the development of their children beyond education. Right. And now also when it comes to schooling, we're also being very creative in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and also UBEC. We're rolling out the Lumia to complement the Agile, and we have other programs. We're also kind of coming strongly from the angle of STEM and ICT, working with the Digital Economy Ministry, Education, to ensure that education is holistic. It's not just going to class, numerics, and literacy is beyond. Our kids are able to compete on the global stage. All right, Madam Minister, there are those who will say, yes, you're reviewing these laws, and Nigeria has laws when it comes to anti-abuse, anti-bullying, you know, anti-whatever you want that is negative against the child in Nigeria, but they remain just on paper. We still hear cases of trafficking, child labor, you know, surfacing. Really, how do you ensure the laws that we have move from paper to practice? And particularly bullying. I go back to bullying because it's the theme for the day. The president has launched what he calls see something, say something, do something. Are you part of that? We'll do something, yeah. Okay, so tell us about that and how you're really pushing this message to practicality. So that's the advocacy part of implementing these legal instruments, because it goes beyond the rehabilitation of the, you know, the survivor-centered approaches. It's, you know, because we want to prevent it. Yeah. We don't even want these children to get abused. So that campaign will help us, you know, would help us address issues from the preventive angle. Okay, talking about what we're doing differently. Yes, we do have the laws. We don't want them to get dusted on the shelf. And that's why we're strongly, you know, partnering with the private sector. The government can't be everywhere. When we strengthen our social welfare components, you know, and also infrastructure, our protection infrastructure. That's an area that the federal government, that Mr. President is making investment around. And also the state governments. You can see that in many, many states we have a crop of SAC centers, you know, safe spaces coming up. Because when we came into government, when some women go through domestic violence, their only resort is family members. What if they don't want their families to know? Right. So it's very important that we invest in the right kind of safe spaces for people, so that people are well protected. We've just signed an MOU with the Women at Risk, you know, NGO, because this is a private sector driven, you know, platform. They have worked over the years and they have the formula. So we're going to be able to complement efforts of such, you know, CSOs and NGOs and private practitioners to ensure that, you know, across states, local governments, local level, where we're kind of emplacing very strong protection systems and structures that would ensure that there's a holistic approach to protection. Thank you so much. There's no better place to live it. Of course, there'll be time more and more for you to come here and give us an account of your stewardship and the, you know, how the Nigerian child is faring. Thank you so much for joining us, Madam Minister. Of course, Imaan Sulaiman-Ibrahim is Minister for Women Affairs and Social. I think it's just Women Affairs for now, yes, but we're trying to also expand the living that side. Okay, we'll have to leave it just about 100 days in office? 200. 200 days in office, okay. Thank you very much. So we keep tab. Thank you. Okay.